Alrighty, so today we got a single cab short bed GMC. We're going to pull the motor and transmission out. Transmission's going to go sent out to be rebuilt, and then it's getting the 6-liter that I've built in previous videos. So hopefully we can get it all out and done before it gets too hot today, because it's supposed to be a warm one. So let's make it happen. So unlike the Colorado, this time I actually brought some tools home so I can hopefully pull it all out today and just be done. So another thing I'm going to try this time is I'm going to try and pull the whole core support out, so that way I can just pull the engine and transmission out as an assembly and then separate it once it's on the ground. That way I don't have to pull the transmission on the ground by myself, because that's not very fun. It's pretty crappy. So we'll see if that works out. So another thing, it might be a couple weeks before I get this thing back together. So I'm just gonna do myself a favor, Ziplocs, label everything, be done with it, put it in the bed of the truck until I'm ready to put it back together. Because it really sucks sitting there going, what bolt goes where? If I was putting this back in tomorrow or whatever, I would probably just put them in little cups or whatever, like red Solo cups or paper cups, just organize them, and then helps you kind of stay organized. And then you put them in pattern of where you took them out and kind of just built them in a row. Then when you go to put it back together, you start with the last cup that you put bolts in, and then you just kind of work your way, and it really helps eliminate having a bunch of extra bolts at the end. Get everything in the shot, man. Jeez. Okay, I guess we'll rock that. So one thing that I do like to do is I take just little thin painter's tape. If I have a question of what it is, like he's got HID headlights in there and they've got goofy kind of wiring a little bit. So he's got a red ground wire. I'm gonna tape it off and write GND for ground. That way I don't see red and just try and hook it up to power for some reason. It's a really good way of remembering how things went apart and how they should go back together. Saves you a ton of time. Would have been way easier if I just pulled the headlights out right away. And you can't even see that. Alright, before I go any further up here, I'm going to have to drop the radiator hoses out and dump a bunch of coolant. So I think I'm going to go ahead and get to the transmission side of it so I can pull the drive shaft out. I can pull the transmission cooler lines out. I can unplug all the connectors on the transmission. And then that way, when I dump coolant, I don't have to go crawling around in case it rolls back towards the back of the truck. Because now that I got the core support out, it's looking like I can just, I'll probably massage the condenser out of the way so I don't have to unhook the AC, and then we'll just pluck the engine up and out and then separate it once it's on the ground. So here's hoping that works. Alright, now we can crawl under there and start pulling the drive shaft and all the wiring harness and all that jazz. You going here? Alright, gotta get a pry bar for that, so next bit. Wow, this thing is low to the ground. This sucks. I might just spare you the gore and get done with this real fast. Hopefully it doesn't take me long, but I'm gonna have to jack up the whole truck because it's so low to the ground I can barely get my chest height under there. So, oh well, it is what it is. Okay, so I got the underside of the truck taken care of. The transmission's all disconnected. Ready to go, so spared you kind of the terrible camera angles and the lack of good video, and just got it done. I also realized I had no fuel line disconnect tools, which means I couldn't get the intake manifold off without leaving the fuel rail there and making it a whole big pain in the butt issue. So of course then I went to AutoZone because it's the closest place that would have a bunch of tools, and then got adapters because I broke one already, fuel line disconnect tools, and then of course because you're there you always spot more stuff you need, and 2 universal wobble joints. So I don't know, if they break I guess it's my fault for buying AutoZone stuff, but they'll probably last a while. So yeah, now it's on to getting the top side done, so I'll drop the truck back down on the ground and then drain the coolant and get the radiator out of the way. Then I'm gonna tear down the front end, and what I like to do is I like to take the brackets off the front of the motor. I'll take the AC compressor off, I'll set it off to the side, I'll try and leave it connected, and then I'll leave the alternator and the power steering pump there on its bracket. That way I don't have to bleed the power steering or drain the power steering or anything. It's kind of, they just lay down out of the way on the cross member and makes it easy. So here we go. So I just tried to use the big wrench and the hammer trick like I did on the Colorado to get the fan clutch off. This fan clutch is not budging. I even put my 15 mil ratchet on there and added extra tension onto the belt to try and hold the pulley steady so that I could smack it loose. It is not going. So I guess I'm gonna pull the hoses off the water pump and just pull the fan clutch off with the water pump. It makes it a little bit bulkier, but I can't get the pulley, or I can't get the fan clutch off, so that's what it's gonna do. So my camera overheated and stopped recording a bunch, so I went ahead and stripped the rest of the front end of this. I realized the AC compressor and the pressure switch was unplugged. I just checked, there was no real pressure inside the AC system, so I went ahead and disconnected it and nothing leaked out. It was just atmospheric pressure, so he's obviously got an AC leak somewhere, but this is where we're at right now. So it is going to be easier just pulling the AC compressor where it's at. AC condenser's out of the way because now that I know there was no refrigerant, just makes it easier. So yeah, we've got the front brackets off. Next we're going to take the intake manifold off and hook a chain up, take the coils off. I'm probably going to take the exhaust manifolds off as well, just to give myself some more room to work. And here's another thing. This is what I like to do when I do motors in this body style. I just gently lay that down out of the way, and when you pick the motor up, it completely clears and it just makes it easier. You don't have to disconnect any of the power steering. It just sits there, doesn't leak anything. You bolt it right back up and it's ready to rock. So yep, here we go. We're on the last kind of stretch, really, honestly. We'll probably get it out in the next 45 minutes or so. Knock on wood. Okay, it's hot here today. My camera kept overheating and turning off, so I unfortunately missed some stuff. I took the exhaust manifolds off, spark plug wires, the intakes off, you know, pretty much all the accessories except for the AC compressor are off of the engine. Nothing extra to kind of hang up, and hopefully we'll be able to just yank this thing out real fast and be done for the day. So here goes nothing. Okay, finally got the engine and transmission out. I will never do it this way again. I did it because I don't have a rack, and this thing's so low to the ground, getting the transmission out from under the truck after pulling it would be really difficult. Do I regret my choices? Maybe, but now I'm committed to it. So I'm going to go ahead and separate the transmission from the engine, and yeah, get the tranny ready to be rebuilt.